Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU, and welcome to Might and Magic Heroes 7, or how it used to be known as Heroes of Might and Magic 7. This is, of course, beta of this particular title that you're seeing right now, the second phase of the beta, in fact, that Ubisoft has published per se, allowed people to play. It's closed one, but nonetheless a formidable amount of people had access to it because it was rather easy to get keys to this game. I was even giving some away on my channel. So without further ado, let's say what this videocast is going to be all about, and that's very simple. Those will be my personal opinions on this beta so far, and my predictions on what this game is going to be like on release. Of course, take that with a pinch of salt. I don't know what the game is going to be at release. I don't want to pretend like I have any idea on the state of the title as it is right now at the moment of recording this video, or how it's gonna look like when it's finally out. I'll just comment on what I see in this beta, alright? That's very important. Again, nothing that you see is final. It's just likely to be final because the release date for this game is on the 29th of September, which is, almost here, which makes me rather worried for a variety of reasons in fact. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about it. Let's first of all cover the reason why you're seeing black borders on the top and the side of the screen. The reason why you're seeing the black borders on the side of the screen is most likely because you're using the 16:9 screen resolution, which according to Steam 35% of PC users that are registered on Steam use. Whereas I'm recording on 16:10 screen resolution, which is still quite popular but not as popular. So yeah, there is that. So why the black screen on top? Well, because this game was designed with 16:9 resolution in mind, and as for any other resolutions, the devs just decided to show a middle finger to anybody who has a different screen resolution, myself included, and be like, sup losers, you will have to deal with that. You have to have 16:9 or GTA 4. Now, of course, it is beta. It's possible that some things will be ironed out before release, right? And that other screen resolutions will be properly supported, but right now this is the cheapest way to support a non-solid screen resolution by adding black bars that are functional but have nothing on them, no use to them. It's just black bars pretending to be a different resolution. I don't appreciate that in the slightest. I believe that that's something that even indie devs are not excused of when they do something like this, and certainly not a big publisher like Ubisoft should allow it, in my opinion. But Ubisoft, doesn't have the best reputation anymore, does it? Let's see if this game is going to help them with that. I really hope it will, but we'll see on release. Anyway, as for the other options that are in this title, I have to say they are actually pretty good. I do like them. They give you plenty of customization, especially if we go into things like gameplay, for example. It's nice. You can what was it that I really liked? Oh yeah, things like cool cam chance. If you remember Heroes 5, for example, my favorite Heroes game, you would every now and again see this camera close-up of your units attacking enemy units and whatnot. There was a percentage chance of that happening, and it looks pretty cool, but you couldn't customize the extent of how often you see that. In this game you can do that. In fact, there are quite a few things you can customize in Heroes 7, and that's certainly going to be a plus in my book when this game actually comes out. Of course, keep in mind, what you're seeing right now is by no means a review or anything. It's just my impression of the beta itself. So with that being said, let's go ahead and continue on. What else I wanted to say about the options in general, I actually completely forgot. Oh yeah, about performance. One really nice thing I noticed is that if you alt tab from this game, which in beta you had to do a lot of time because there is a bug that I'm not going into details, but it forces you to alt tab almost all the time because AI takes forever. But that's fixed apparently for release. That's what the dev said, so I'll trust them on that. Anyway, when you alt tab, because this game actually uses like basically no resources whatsoever, which is nice. Many other games are like, whatever, we're gonna use all of your resources when you alt tab, and this one is like, yeah, no, I don't need to render everything, so I will not. So that's nice. Anyway, let's stop talking about technical things and start talking about the game itself. I'm going to load into a game I started. It's going to be one that's not entirely completed, but actually before I do that, I changed my mind. Let's first of all go ahead and have a look at what we were given in this beta, right? So 4 maps were available, as you can see, some bigger, some smaller. But the thing about those maps I want to talk about is that they, I mean, of course they might be like the worst maps in Heroes 7, but let's just put it this way, I hope they're the worst maps in Heroes 7, because so far I'm definitely not impressed by them. Unfortunately, I'm quite disappointed. They're far weaker in both gameplay and aesthetic to the maps in other Heroes titles. Like, okay, gameplay wise, for example the Dry Lands, I'm going to talk about this map since you'll see it in a second. In fact, since you'll see it in a second, I'll talk about it in a second. But for now, just remember the description. Alright, it's a map which is about a dam that was created for some reason. This description does explain why the dam was created, and basically because of it some things were dried and this terrain stayed lush. Okay, there's no explanation as to why everything that has happened. The map maker just wants us to deal with this. That's not necessarily the best approach. That's a pro tip for you, whoever wrote this description, but I guess this will do for now. I'll talk about that more later, because I'm quite an avid map maker for Heroes games, and I know a lot of map makers as well. A lot of talented people, and you know, I will talk about it. There's a big gripe I have about the maps, just in case you haven't realized. But let's talk about the lobby first. The nice thing I like is the fact that, you know, the Heroes customized selection screen, it's similar to what we had in Heroes 5, of course, in which you could easily select your starting hero in any way you saw fit, which was nice. In here it's again very functional, but it also gives you like a bit of a better view of what you're going to get once you select your hero. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't realized, if you're not a Heroes fan and you have no idea what I'm talking about, stop watching this video right now. Because honestly, you have to wait until my introducing video for Heroes 7 when it comes out, when I'll actually talk about what this game is, instead of giving my impressions about the state of the beta, which is what I'm doing right now. But basically, I like the way that, you know, how nice it is and how neat the hero selection screen is. It's a little thing, but it's useful, it's nice, it's good that it's here. Right now in this beta, we're given only 4 out of 6 factions. 6 factions, of course, not a very big amount, but it's acceptable in my book for, you know, a standard starting amount of factions in a Heroes game. So there is, of course, that. As for the options on the map, I like it again because they actually allow you to customize quite a few things. Like, for example, Victory Condition. Not all Heroes games had allowed you to customize that. This one does. Teams, again, same thing. This one, I don't think any Heroes games ever let you customize the teams beyond what the map maker allowed you to do, which I think is a really nice touch. I mean, it allows you to either play by the rules or just set up your own rules. I appreciate that. The more customization, the better. Start positions, where right now it doesn't really matter, does it? Because, you know, the map actually doesn't show you the start position, you have to know them by heart, which is a bit silly. But I guess that by release, it's gonna be better. As for other things, you can go for simultaneous or normal tools. Turns, thank goodness for simultaneous turns. They are a necessity in multiplayer in Heroes games, in my opinion. Although, I don't know, the old Heroes games like 1 to 4 played pretty quickly most of the time. It wasn't a very big deal. Anyway, quick combat, I have no idea why you choose anything aside from optional, unless you're playing in a multiplayer, in which case I encourage you just to play with friends and trust them not to spend too much time in combat. Then again, combat is the meat of the game, so just let them do it and do it yourself, in my opinion. And now, the really cool thing is the way that you can choose hero scaling. So, remember Heroes 6? A lot of people really didn't like the skill system in that game, myself included, because it just let you pick any skills you wanted, which meant that in every single game you played you would always go for the same skills, because there would basically be no reason to go for any other skills. And yes, that was definitely true. It was lame. It took away a lot of what Heroes is about, which is dealing with something that is partially fair and partially BS random thing. And the skills were part of it. You had to make best with what you were given and play to the maximum of your capabilities and overcome any difficulties that luck has thrown in your face, which I really liked. And it makes me really happy because this game allows you to go back to the old Heroes skill system, which is like, hey, here are 4 random skills for you. Not every Heroes game had 4, of course, but still. This game has 4 skills, and it's like, okay, here are 4 random skills, pick one and deal with it. I like it. It's fun. It's one of the many features that, in my opinion, make Heroes games. You know, this kind of BS challenge, which is actually kind of enjoyable. Another cool customizable thing, the difficulty. Look at what I can do. I can have very strong units that grow extremely slowly, so that, you know, at the start you cannot do anything, but then you just roll over everything. I don't know why you would do that. And then I want to have no resources either, so I stay in my starting point for 2010s, which is kind of lame. But it's really cool that you can customize those things. I'm sure that most people, if not all of them, will appreciate it a great deal. I personally definitely will. And of course other things that you can customize as well. All nice and dandy. When it comes to menus, this game is actually, this beta rather, again I'm only talking about the beta since the game isn't out yet. But the beta itself, it certainly scored a positive mark in my mind, and since the menus seem mostly done, I think I can safely say that probably when it's released, it's gonna be good. So yeah, positive so far. It's gonna get rough too. Let me load up a game for you, alright? Alright, I have now loaded into the game and I can freely talk about a lot of things that, well, some will possibly be changed after, you know, this game is fully released, but some will most undoubtedly be not changed, and these are the ones that worry me the most, unfortunately. So, welcome to Heroes 7 as it appears, and welcome to a map that has been created by some map maker who may or may not be proud of his job at making this map, but I personally say that, you know, compared to the quality of maps we've been given in the other Heroes titles, the design of this map is not the best. As in, I'm talking about, I mean, gameplay design, it's acceptable, it's nothing to write home about, it's fairly standard map, this one in particular. So like, it's okay, you have a way to the underground, you've got a portal over there to some other region, there's a way to go to the south side of the map if you go through this valley, and you can go to the east side of the map through this bridge. All areas controlled by relatively strong-ish but not very neutral creatures, and that's pretty much it. Very standard, again, nothing to write home about, nothing necessarily bad either, but you know, you could make a better map in terms of gameplay, you could make a worse one. I'm not gonna complain about it necessarily, better maps may very well be waiting, I will not say anything bad about that, but what does worry me is a very subjective thing perhaps, but I will explain why I believe what I will say is true, and that's the fact that, aesthetically speaking, this map, as well as any other map in this beta, is not appealing at all, and this map I would say is one of the better ones in this beta, in fact, when it comes to aesthetics. Of course, I realize that things look very different now, because I have, for example, cleared out the home area of where I started the game, which was right over here. So there were more things on the ground, there were neutral armies, things to collect. In every Heroes game, once you collect those things, then the map looks a little bit emptier, less interesting, that's natural, but not to this extent. For example, this is your standing area, this is what you see once you load into the game. And something that 3DO did amazingly well in all of the games is it realized that the starting area of on any map is the most important area of that map. Nothing else is as important, because this is what will greet you once you load into the map. This is most likely the area you will see most often, with some exceptions of course. But nonetheless, it has to leave a good impression on you and showcase to you exactly what this map is going to be about, what are the new neat features about it. Again, I'm talking about aesthetics mostly, but this thing is unappealing. Some mountains, some forest, again, it doesn't look necessarily bad, it's just a bit bland, and trust me, it's the best starting area in all of the maps that were available in beta. In my opinion, the others looked worse when it comes to design. Of course, That's a very subjective thing, but nonetheless, that's what I actually thoroughly believe. And also, it feels like this map in particular, it's... Okay, so the storyline is that the Titans built a dam in here. For what reason? Whatever. But it's things like that in other Heroes games, it would be explained in some way to the player through the map design itself. It would be like, okay, if they wanted to maybe cultivate some farms of food and whatever, and they created the farm to, you know, fertilize the lands or whatever, they created the dam, I mean, not the farm, then there would be farms here and some villages and something. It would look nice and, you know, rural and stuff. Or maybe they just wanted to make things look cool, so maybe there would be like some more sense of civilization. Or, I don't know, anything. There are plenty of ideas you can go for with a dam. And here it's like, hey, it's a wild terrain with no special features, no neat features whatsoever. And the dam was created. Why? Why did somebody bother doing that? I guess in some areas you could say, okay, maybe they created it to purposefully dry out the lands below to the south to annoy the neighbors. But if that was the case, I would expect like some military like post somewhere or something. You know, some kind of sign that this map has actually some soul to it rather than be like a place where players battle, which of course is what every map is, I understand that. But it should at the very least give you illusion that it's something more. And those maps, those 4 maps we got to play on, they didn't feel that really. It was like, not the level of detail I would expect from a Heroes map. Like, especially Heroes 4 maps. I mean, Heroes of Might and Magic 4, in my opinion, had not only the most beautiful, but aesthetically speaking, the most brilliantly designed maps. I mean, they looked great, and every map had this... It felt like it was there for a reason, other than just having 2 players battle it out. It was really great in my opinion. Like, that was probably maybe even the strongest point of Heroes 4 actually. And it was an amazing point as well. I know that a lot of people don't like Heroes 4, but in my opinion, the map design, aesthetic of the maps, it was brilliant. Alright, and I'll argue with everybody who disagrees. But I will not actually, of course, because it's a subjective thing, that's my personal opinion. So yeah, this map, it feels bland. It's like, okay, it's just, it feels like it has no purpose. As for more technical things, look at this waterfall. First of all, did you see what is happening? Do you see what is happening to it? Hold on, it actually looks okay now for a change, but oh, did you see that? Yeah, it's annoyingly enough now it looks mostly not glitchy, but if you look at this waterfall, it has some glitching textures that are moving on top of each other, and something is weird is happening with the water, as it is right now. Actually, if you see that, what's that? All right. I understand that this is beta and things will be ironed out, but there's a lot of like small annoying little details that need to be ironed out in this beta, and I can convert how much time every little detail is going to take, and I'm starting to get worried because it feels like it's not possible to iron them all out before the release of this game, unless either Ubisoft has a really large team working this game, or unless they are willing to cut out pieces of this game, or unless they are willing to push back the release date, which I can assure you they will not, because money is after all important. And I'm not saying this sarcastically or blaming anybody for it. Money is important, it's a product after all, but I'm worried that it might be an incomplete or just poorly made product. I mean, let's look at this waterfall in a little bit more detail. See what's wrong with it? What else is wrong with it? Do you see that maybe? Hold on, I'm trying to zoom out well enough. Well, usually when you make a waterfall in any Heroes game, you make it so that there is a mountain here, like a rock layer, and then you add the waterfall animation on top of it. Right now, if you look closely, you'll see that there's just a wall of water. That's just peaceful water texture if you see it, if you look closely. That's like derping around in the air. There's just suddenly this wall of water and the waterfall texture put on top of it. That's not how you do waterfalls in Heroes game. That doesn't look good. I'm sorry, it really does not. I'm quite picky when it comes to maps, because like I said, I know a lot of great map makers, and I myself may not be the best map maker, and I'm not gonna argue like I am, since I'm not publishing my maps, I only make them for my friends. But either way, I was learning from a lot of good map makers at the very least, and I know a lot of them would be like, they would not appreciate this kind of map design. Like, this water, it really irks me. And there are more similar things like this. Like there's one map where you start off in a deserty area and you just look at lava and water, lava going into water area, and there's some steam over there, and it looks so bad. It really, I'm sorry, but it does. And also, again, it's waterfall, but this water doesn't feel like it's a water that's next to waterfall. Although that's just me being very picky right now. It's maybe we're not there yet where we can just show you how the water flows. I mean, that's asking for a little bit much in honesty. So I don't mind that actually at all. But this waterfall, it just irks me. It's so incomplete, this waterfall. I hate it. I really do. I'm sorry, I'm picky this way when it comes to Heroes maps. Let's talk about other things then, things that will not get as much hatred on YouTube, because I'm sure people will hate me for talking bad things about this waterfall for so long. Well, other than the fact that this seems kind of bland, it seems like this area, for example, again, same deal as with the rest of the map, it feels like there's nothing going on, it's like just some map that not a lot of things are happening to it. But alright, we've talked about maps for long enough. When it comes to gameplay design, it's good enough. I have no big complaints. Let's talk about the cities. Let's go into my starting city, shall we? That's Valorant. Let's go ahead and open it, shall we? Alright. That's the screen view we'll get. I'm not gonna complain about that. Some people have complained about the aesthetic and the look of the cities. I will not. Personally, I don't think that this music, even though I like this music, fits this town screen, even though I like this town screen. The two don't feel like they fit well together in my opinion. But there are a lot of problems with this town screen. Like, first of all, again, resolution problem. You see those black bars? Yeah. Imagine if somebody's playing on an even other resolution, like 4x3 or 5x4. Don't think that those people do not exist. Go to Steam chat. There are plenty of people who have those resolutions. 5x4 in fact is quite popular. So yeah, there are people who have those kind of non-standard resolutions, and guess what? They have to deal with ginormous black bars. Okay, maybe they will do something before release to make those black bars disappear, but what can you do? Stretch this out? I think it would look quite silly if you were to do that. Add some more art? I don't think you can do that. It feels like, I mean, maybe there's more painting that you just cut off for no reason, but to me it feels like there is no more art to add and you just have to come up with some idea. I wish they did the Heroes V way of creating cities, you know, the 3D view. They could just have a static camera, because a lot of complaints about the 3D view in Heroes V was about how confusing it is, but the towns looked great in Heroes V. I'm sorry, they looked magnificent and amazing. It's not like I don't like the 2D. 2D looks beautiful in many instances, like, especially I think my favorite town's look was maybe Heroes 2? Those had a lot of charm to them, I think. I'm not sure, but probably Heroes 2, I would say. So yeah, I really like the town looks. I mean, Heroes 5 was the best in my opinion, but out of that, aside from that, Heroes 2 was the second best. But so yeah, I'm not against 2D, but what are you going to do with non-standard resolutions now? I really am quite curious. And also there's another problem, like, let's go to any screen, let's try to make a structure. Oh, you just covered the entire city screen. Who cares that? Look at how much space I have. This is how much space this construction screen is taking, and it could take less space in my opinion. Like, why did they feel the need to make it as spaced out as it is? I mean, you don't want to make it too cramped, but this option, for example, to bend down all level 15 buildings doesn't need to take this much space. You can save some space on those corners over there, not corners, but borders and things like that. And show the city behind the screen, like in every other Heroes games. I mean, aside from 6. But you could see the city screen while you're creating something on it. And that's another thing that's actually a fairly big bugbear for me. Let's say I want to upgrade this sun gun, right? So I can have the sun duels, right? Let's upgrade it. I just did, okay. Where is it? Oh wait, I have no idea. No, seriously. I mean, it's over there. I know this because I played this game, but other than that, is there any indication that I did something in the city screen? Well, I have to look closely to see that something changed indeed, but that's bad. In other Heroes games, you could easily see that something has changed in your city after you created it, because of how it will. Because panels didn't obscure each other, they were next to each other, on top of each other, or whatever, but you could still at least partially see the city screen as you're making things. Or in some games, some Heroes games, the screen would zoom in on an area where you're going to build something. Obviously I'm talking about, you know, Heroes 5 right now. That's not necessarily what I want, but still, it's like, it doesn't feel like, I don't get the same sensation of, wow, I made this town as in other Heroes games. It's like, okay, it's artwork that slowly fills itself over time, even though I'm the one who feels it by making new structures, but it doesn't feel this way, because I don't see any differences in this town screen. Like, I can click on individual structures to, like, for example, recruit more units or whatnot, but it doesn't feel like my city. I think that's the biggest bugbear for me. And again, this screen, that's good. It doesn't obscure the town screen totally, it's just partially obscuring it. Why couldn't it be the same for other screens? Like, it truly could show some of the more screens, and this caravan screen also doesn't need to take as much space, and the units also don't need to take as much space, and you know, it feels like it could be done better. Maybe it will be fixed before release, but I doubt it. It feels like a purposeful decision that somebody made, which I really disagree with. So yeah, there are plenty of your standard screens in the city screen that you could expect, by the way. There's the Magic Guild, which you can ask to specialize in one particular, school of magic that you actually care about the most, which, you know, is fine. And cool, you have plenty of other things to do. You also have something that I find rather neat, and it's the idea of garrisons. Like in other Heroes games, for example, when you build up your fortifications, they not only improve your city's fortifications, which is, you know, obvious, but they also, what is very important, give you more population growth in your dwellings, making those essential in like almost every Heroes game, right? What they do in this game instead, which I find to be a pretty cool idea, is the fact that they just give you some units that guard your city and do just that. What is pretty cool, it means that you don't necessarily have to leave an army guarding your city, and can somewhat rely on what you have in your, and thanks to your fortifications, right? Which is interesting, and again, I like it better than the old system, which was like, oh hey, you build a moat and suddenly you gain more creatures. In this game, if you want to gain more creatures, you have to upgrade your dwellings and give your creatures a growth bonus. And the cool thing is, sometimes you have to decide between the two different creatures that you want to increase the number of. For example, in here, I want for Sparkling Fountain, which increases my growth of sprites, which I like a lot, versus the growth of dryads or oak dryads, which I find to be kind of pointless and worthless. So yeah, I never would go for them in a million years, but I had the option to go for one or the other, which I like. Again, forcing players to make decisions like this is nice, but what I don't understand is why on earth did this game not do something that Heroes 5 did so brilliantly? And what is that? It's allowing you to make decisions as to, you know, how do you want to upgrade your units. In this game, like in any other Heroes games except for 5, when you upgrade your unit, you upgrade it and that's that. In Heroes 5, just to remind you, you had the choice between two alternative upgrades, and they were sometimes only a little bit different. For example, one upgrade could focus on attack, the other could focus on defense, or they could completely and drastically change the way that a unit behaves. It boggles my mind why no newer Heroes games does that, because that was the best feature of Heroes 5. Of course, it went as an expansion to Heroes 5, but I don't care, by now it should be standard, because that was a brilliant feature and it should be present in a newer Heroes games, in my opinion. What they did do, however, is something rather bold and ballsy. I'll go to another city just to show you that. So quit that and I'll go to the Academy screen. So something that they did that's quite ballsy and I appreciate is they actually borrowed the feature from Heroes 4, which is like, it takes some guts, you know, because most people hated Heroes 4 for wrong reasons in my opinion, but no, let's not talk about that. I talked about this in other videos. But what they did is, when you go to your champion dwelling, the one that allows you to purchase your most powerful unit, they actually force you to make a choice. Do you want to have one type of champion or the other? That's the same thing that Heroes 4 did, except Heroes 4 did the same thing for every unit except for tier 1 units. So that's an interesting idea. The bad thing is you cannot change your decision once you make it, but still, it's interesting that they decided to try and see how something would work that was in Heroes 4, because up to this point, Heroes games were desperately trying to ignore Heroes 4's existence and being like, nope, it didn't happen, it's not a thing, everything that Heroes 4 did was wrong, period. We're not gonna learn anything from that, which is the wrong way to look at it, no matter what. Even if you make something that is either objectively or subjectively a mistake, learn from it rather than run away from it. So it's interesting that they did actually try to learn something from Heroes 4. I'm not actually a big fan of the system, I have to say, because it locks you in your decision, but it's not a bad system inherently, because it forces you to adapt to who you're playing against, to, you know, go for one structure or the other, depending on what your enemy is going to go for, what you believe your enemy is going to go for, which is what Heroes 4 was all about, adapting your build orders to who you were playing against. So yeah, that's interesting, we'll see how it plays out. What else about the city screen? I believe I talked for quite a long time about it, so I will not talk about it anymore. Let's leave it for the time being. And let's show you a little bit of battle. Now, there are plenty of things that I could point at and say that how bad they are in this beta, but I will not do this because it's beta. I believe it will be cruel to do it, even though, let's face it, A, it's more like a tech demo because it's really unpolished in many areas, and B, this game is about to be released, so most likely not that many things will be changed and polished, but either way, I'll wait with my judgment on many things until this game actually is released. For now though, let's go ahead and attack the enemy hero. Nice and easy. Yep, let's start the combat, and I'll show you how it goes, alright? Let's wait for a little second. The screen needs to load. Let me drink some tea. Alright, the music in the background that you hear is from other Heroes game. I assume it's just a placeholder for this beta and that they're not actually going to reuse music from other Heroes games because that would be lazy. But I'm 75% sure that this is just a placeholder. So it's going to be fun, I hope. Alright, the reason why I went to combat so quickly is because I actually want to talk about the units that you can play as, which is kind of important, and in this particular beta, for some reasons, you can only look at your unit's abilities inside a battle, right? It's something that will be fixed before the actual release of the game, but nonetheless, if I want to talk about units' abilities, and I do, I have to be in combat. So I'm in combat right now, I can talk about units, and units disappoint me. I'll be honest about it. So let's have a quick look at all the units I control. Only my units, because again, I don't want to go too in-depth, because it's beta and stuff, but let's do it nonetheless. So first of all, my basic units. So let's start off with Ogdriad. Ogdriad is your basic throwaway unit that you don't really care about. But in this case, in this instance, it's really... what's the purpose of it? Like, okay, its basic ability that it starts with is 3 synergy, okay. Nearby units have +5 defense, okay. And its extra ability that it gains after it levels up is the Gift of Life, which makes Mother Twins, that's my healing, war machine, right here, able to resurrect all Dryads. All Dryads, other than that, are kind of worthless. The stats are bad, they can fly, but yeah, they're not really interesting, and quite frankly, I don't really... like, compare them to Heroes 5, right? In Heroes 5, the sprites, pixies, whatever they were called, I forgot by now. They're interesting, like tier 1, aerial effect damage, node retaliation, then you level them up, they get spells, a lot of spells as well, okay, maybe not that many, but interesting spells and things, and again, there were 2 alternative upgrades, and it was great, brilliant, and very interesting. This Ogdriad, okay, I guess every faction needs to have a semi-worthless creature, but does it really? No it doesn't. Then let's have a quick look at the sprites. Now sprites, okay, basic unit has no abilities, upgrade has no retaliation. That's just kinda boring. Is it just me, or does it really seem kinda boring? Okay, it can also fly, I suppose, but still it's A fairly boring creature, but okay, it's just a cold creature. Let's keep going. Let's have a look. Another creature, Master Hunter. Now this one has an interesting ability, double shot. If you kill an enemy with the first shot, you fire again. Okay, I like it better than the double shot the archers in Heroes 5 had. But in a way, archers in Heroes 5, on basic, they started with double shot, and then if you upgraded them, you could either give them an ability that made their double shot lower the enemy initiative, or you could give them a singular shot that ignored penalties from distance and whatnot, which was, you know, again, more choices, and those were more interesting abilities. So there's a bit of that, and then let's keep going. Okay, Druid Elder. When you look at it really briefly, it seems like a pretty nifty unit. It has range, it has 2 extra abilities. Sleeve Daggers, which is a line of attack that has no penalties for distance, which is pretty cool. And then the Falls, which is a spell, which you can see how it works right now if you read the description, alright? So pretty cool, but then you think about Heroes 5, and okay. Basic Druids, they had ranged attack as well as 2 spells that were very useful spells. Upgrades had either even more spells that were extremely powerful, or and also were able to give mana to your hero, or the other version had a really powerful attack and was able to give its mana power to you, not mana power, but magic power to your hero, making him an extremely powerful caster suddenly. A lot more interesting abilities and a lot more abilities than what this supposedly magic caster has. He's nothing compared to most units in Heroes 5. Then this guy, another elite creature. What does he have? Well, he's got vigilance. He cannot be flanked at all. That's the basic version. Upgraded version has area of effect damage. Now that's a bit better because it starts with an interesting ability and then it gets area of effect damage. It reminds me a lot of Blade Dancers in Heroes 5, except in Heroes 5 they were much weaker creatures and they were supposed... And you know, it's fun to have some more basic units every now and again, I don't mind that. But it seems like there's a lot of those basic units. That's what worries me, honestly, a little bit. It feels like those units don't feel very special, that's my problem with them. And then we have the Dragon. Now, the Dragon I actually have no complaints about whatsoever, because he's what a top tier unit is supposed to be like. Like, this guy has 3 abilities in particular. He's immune to earth magic, he can regenerate, that's what he gets when he's upgraded. And he's got Acid Breath, which, you know, it's a dragon, that's what you would expect. That's fine. Big units like this, they're supposed to have few distinct features, abilities that show that make it so powerful and, you know, they give them their personality. And in this case, that's exactly it. It gives him a very dragony vibe with also some kind of elvish vibe, like regeneration feels nature-y. So yeah, that's good, I like it. The Dragon I have no complaints about, that's well-designed abilities, but things like that, those abilities are just derpy. I don't feel like they belong to this type of unit too much. This unit seems like very lazy. This unit seems pretends to be smarter than it is, than it could have been, and it goes like this. And also there's the Moon/Sun Doe, which I don't have in my army right now. The basic unit has, I believe, nothing. Maybe it has something I don't remember. And then the upgrade unit, it has like, oh hey, I give friendly nearby units extra happiness and stuff. Heroes 5, what did you have? You had Unicorn, which by itself could blind the enemy units, which was already pretty great. And the upgrade had area magic nullification aura, or area, what was it called? Light magic benefiting aura, something like this. They were really cool, interesting units that had a lot of features. And they provoked a lot of extra gameplay elements to it, which I really liked. Another thing that is kind of worrying. Do you see this Medusa right here? Okay, so the fact that the dungeon have the Medusa, that's cool. I've seen that model somewhere before. Now, for some reason the camera doesn't let me zoom in any closer. And in other games it would have, but in this game it doesn't let me zoom in closer. But even this animation right here, have I seen it somewhere? Yes, it's completely ripped off of Heroes 6. Slightly retouched, at the very least they changed the colors and slightly changed the model, but not very. I'm sorry to say this. And there are more units like this. Like, there's a lot of, for example, Inferno units completely ripped off from Heroes 6 in this beta. Maybe they'll be changed in the full release, but I find it unlikely, honestly. That's not to say I didn't like the designs of the Inferno units in Heroes 6. I believe that design-wise, Like, aesthetic-wise, the Hero 6 Inferiors looked really cool, but to just copy them, that's not really cool, in my opinion. That's not how you do this. Also, there are a lot of things that feel just very unpolished in here. Like, for example, let's say, okay, there are those things that I can drag and drop spells into so that I have easy access to it, which is what we had in the previous game, except they go away every time you load up a game, which is not exactly ideal, so yeah. Again, beta is beta, right? But you just keep adding things to the power and it gets worse and worse. Let's just cast the spell right now for a second. Okay, this thing stayed for a little bit too long, and okay, this spell animation didn't look that bad, I suppose, but animations in general, they feel like they are much weaker in the Hero 6. Hero 6 had really good animations, this game does not. It really has kind of, like, okay, this animation wasn't that bad, but there are some other animations that will show you a little bit better what I mean when I say that they are kind of bad. Okay, let's just skip the 10 with a lot of my units, because I just wanna show you some range animations of my rangers. I'm not gonna play this battle like properly, I'm just gonna let things happen. Oh no, like this one! What was that supposed to be? The enemy hero did something and it was apparently damaging or whatnot. I did not feel that, it felt really lame. Okay, enemy middles attacking. That felt also really lame. Like, those abilities, they don't have any oomph to them, if you know what I mean. It's like kind of lame. It doesn't feel like anything is happening to anything. And a lot of units in this game in general, they just slap each other in the face with hands. Like, those two units I have, the Dryads and the Sprites, they literally just slap the enemies in the face, because why not? And there are more units that just slap enemies in the face. It's like, it feels very unimaginative, if I have to be honest. Alright, let's attack the enemy. Okay, let's do it. Can I do it in a cone, like attack those two enemies together? Apparently not. Can I attack those two guys in a cone? Yes, I can. Let's go ahead and do that. Bam! Nice! It was a gust of wind. Okay, that's how it looks like. Do you see what I'm talking about? Okay, again, beta is beta, but the way even this Minotaur walks and things like that, there's just so many things that are unpolished. I have no idea how they can polish it by 29, if that's what worries me. Like, look at my firing animation, right? Look very closely at this ranger and this Minotaur. Okay, look at what is happening. That was the firing animation. Compare that to how juicy the firing animation felt in Heroes 5. That was good firing animation. This is just... what is this? It feels really lame. I'm sorry to say this, but even compared to Hero 6, Hero 6 was praised a lot for its brilliant animations, because it really did have brilliant animations. That was one of its best features, in fact, if not the best feature. And in this game, those animations are just gone. Like, if you see, I now want minions to start acting so that I can showcase this to you, but whatever. Yeah, you guys do your thing. We don't care about you. You're just here to showcase things to us. Alright, like, look at this dragon. How it attacks. I'm actually gonna attack in a cone, but yeah, okay. Here I come, I attack. Yeah, okay, that was acid breath, so it's excused if it's not exactly the best thing ever. But look at my Dryad now, look closely at how it attacks, okay? Here it is, and I slap you! Yay, that looked awesome, and the enemy slapped me back, woohoo! I'm sorry, but when it comes to how the all animations and visual effects and anything is shown in battles, they just are so incomplete. I feel like I'm playing a tech demo, not a game that is going to be released in a month. And that's what just worries me so much. Now, about the positive sides, look at this battle arena. What can I say about it? It looks brilliant! It's absolutely amazing. Whoever designed this arena did a stellar job. It looks really detailed. It looks like something that I could even see existing in a real world. It's really well done. There's a huge amount of attention to detail, and you could say, well, that's to be expected of a battle arena, but I would even go as far to say that it's the best looking battle arena in any Heroes game ever. It's just so well done, and it boggles my mind. Why are the battles arenas so good, whereas the map arenas, the maps themselves, feel just so plain? Like, what are those completely different teams that made it too? I assume so, but why? the battle arenas are just so good. They show what you can do with this engine, that you can do a lot, but it's just the battle arenas that look so good. Also, about those battle arenas, the thing that I have a problem with is the fact that, I mean, Hero 6 did a lot of cool things about the battle arenas. The things that would change, like the way that some towns played, like give your units extra, I don't know, magic power or something, increase the lag, increase the whatever, or decrease something. They had a lot of interesting features on them, as well as barricades that that lowered the effectiveness of enemy range units. Actually, they might still do that. I wasn't able to test this yet because, yeah, no matter what, I couldn't encourage the AI to shoot at my units when they were standing behind a cover, so I have no idea if this cover works or not. So that's a problem. Also, again, about animations and how things look like, look at my hero attacking. Yay! That was my hero's attack. Impressive? Not really. So yeah, as you can see and hear, there are plenty of things that I appreciate about this game. And I like also another thing, the flanking system. I like it. It's working similarly to how Final Fantasy Tactics A2 worked. A2, by the way, was a title released only for Nintendo DS, I believe. So don't worry if you haven't heard of it, even if you like the original Final Fantasy Tactics. A2 was a specific thing, and it had a different flanking system to the other games where, depending on where you attack the enemy, it did increase your chances of hit, but it increased your damage. That's what Heroes does as well. So, if I attack somebody from behind, I deal more damage. If I flank somebody, I deal more damage. You know, it's this kind of thing. So, yeah, I actually kind of like it. I kind of enjoy it. I can dig that. So, okay. This video is fairly long already, and I feel like I should wrap it up before it's too long. I want to see what this game is going to become. Now, Hero 6 was an absolute disaster, because a year after its release, it was still plagued with horrible bugs, even some game-breaking bugs. And I'm worried that this game might also be horribly unpolished, like Hero 6 was when it is released. I hope it will not be the case. I'll buy it, and I'll try to make a video of it as quickly as possible so that I can warn you if you should not buy it, because maybe it will be a disaster, or maybe it will actually be a good game, which I really hope it will be. I really do hope it will be, but there are also other things, like, for example, Hero 6, another thing that Hero 6 did really well is how well it put the emphasis on how each different faction played differently. Like, some factions improved your units' defense, I'm looking at this actuary, or they improved some other things. Here it's like, there's an UI customized to your faction's specialty. Like, I know that my hero can, you know, deal damage to enemy units and make your units do more damage to the target unit, but it doesn't feel like as much of a big deal as it felt in Hero 6. That's another thing that Hero 6 did well. And it feels like this game is in many ways just a step backwards, and that's kind of sad. But we'll see. I refuse to give my full opinion on this title before we get an actual release. That's when I'll be truly critical. Right now, those are just my very early impressions of the beta itself. We have no idea how close this is to a finished product. That's why I refuse to make any definitive statements. I'm just expressing my worries and hopes about this title. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty Mix Spammer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you online.